Okay, so in this session, we are going to look into Introduction to SQL. Okay, so we are going to start SQL today. So in this, first, before going to learn, we need to know about the structured query language categories. There are five main categories which you need to know as part of this SQL. So these are the mentioned ones: data definition, data manipulation, transaction control, and data retrieval language. So these are the main five categories. So under these, we'll be having multiple types of statements which we'll be exploring one by one. Okay, so the first thing what we are going to see is DDL, data definition language. So to define the database objects inside a database, so you have a database and you want to first give an intro. So this is a table, this is a trigger, this is a view, like that. If you want to define any object inside a database, then you use these data definition languages. Okay, so what about the five statements is create, alter, drop, truncate, and rename. Okay, going forward, we'll be going in detail how and what is the syntax of these kind of statements. So to have a brief about data definition language, you should know to define the database objects inside a database, definition languages are used. So what are the types of statements which are used under DDL are nothing but create, alter, drop, truncate, and rename. Create statements are to create the database objects. Alter is if you have created a database object and you want to alter it. For example, you have created a table and you want to add one more column to the table. Currently, it has only 4 columns and you want to add one more fifth column. Then it is kind of altering, means doing a renovation of a house. The same way you are renovating the table, you are altering the table. So for those kind of changes, alter statement. And if you don't want the table at all, you want to just drop it, then you go for drop table. What do you mean by truncate is you want to have a blueprint, but you don't want any of it inside. Means you want to have the structure of the table and you don't want any data inside the table, then you use truncate. This is also an object level. So inside a table, I don't want any of it. I just want to empty it. Okay, so you use truncate table statement. And the last one is rename. If you want to rename a a table or a view or a procedure, whatever database object, then you use rename statement. The next one is manipulation language. So data manipulation is to manipulate the data, like you want to play with the data. So it has majorly three: insert, update, and delete. Okay, so insert are nothing but if you have a table and the first time if you want to insert any data, you want to enter a data inside the table, then insert statement is going to help you. Okay, so insert statements are nothing but it is going to help you to enter the data inside the table. Okay, update is going to help you. You already have a set of column values. In a row you have some, for example, if you have a table which has 3 columns, one row is entered which will have 3 values, right? 3 columns means 3 values will be there. If you want to change that one particular column value, like the third value, then you want to update it. You reference this first cell value, data value, and then you update it. So if you have the existing record and you want to update something in that particular record, then you use update. Okay, records are nothing but rows. Okay, I have been telling that rows and columns, rows will be referred as records, okay, and columns as column. Okay, so rows are nothing but records. So if you want to change anything in particular record, then you can use update. If you want to enter a record inside a table, then you use insert. If you don't want that particular record, you want to delete that particular record, then you go for delete statement. Again, here in a definition language, you have seen truncate. If you want to delete all the records, means all the data inside the table, then you go for truncate. If you want to do a selective delete, I don't want this record, I don't want 20th record, I don't want 87th record, like that. If you have specific set of records to be deleted, then you go for delete statement, where you give an no condition, where condition you will give, and then you delete that particular set of selected records. If you want to purge, if you want to delete everything inside a table, then you go for definition statement, which is nothing but truncate statement. Okay, so this is about manipulation. The next is transaction control language. Okay, transaction control. So anything and everything which you do, whether you log in into a session, you ask a query to database, and query in the sense, if you want to do any changes inside a database, right? If you any transaction means what? In an ATM or in a bank, what do you mean by transaction is either you put money or take the money. Same way inside a database, whether you add a data or you delete a data, you take out the data, you put a data or take it out. So what any kind of transactions which has been made as part of inside a database, then you have to commit it. Okay, you have to save it. Commit is nothing but saving the transaction. Okay, rollback is something undoing the transaction. Okay, and save points, it comes in the coding. If you want to save point, and from this particular point to this particular point, you have to save it. So whenever you give save point in a coding, they will capture all the transactions which is happening as part of the code. So commit, rollback, and save point. So to control the transactions or any query executed, we use TCL, transaction control language. The next is data control. What do you mean by data control? For example, if you want to see a data or you want to access the data to change it. So these kind of levels are there, access levels are there. So to control the access levels of data, access level of data is nothing but whether you're eligible to access the data or not. Okay, so for these we have two types of queries, grant and revoke. We'll see more about this data control language in detail in the forthcoming sessions, but for now you have to know there are two types of queries, grant and revoke. Either you grant access to the data or you revoke the access in order to not access the data. Okay, whether you grant access or you revoke the access, take it away, whether you give the access or you take away the access of the data. So this is data control language. And the next one is data retrieval language, DRL. This is the most commonly used statement, select statement to retrieve the data. You don't want to change anything in the database, but whatever is there inside the database, you want to see. Yes, you want to see the data. So this select statement is nothing but a retrieval of data. To retrieve the data from the database, to view the data is nothing but using the select statement. You will use the select statement to view the data. So this is all about the most important 5 categories of SQL statement: DDL, data definition language, data manipulation language, transaction control language, and then we saw data control language, and finally data retrieval language, DRL. So that's about the introduction to SQL. Thank you.